Live from the Business Radio X studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and we're coming to you from the Business Radio X studio inside Renaissance Bank. And, you know, today you're connected more than ever. Whether it's your friends, your family, or your life, Renaissance understands how you bank, offering the mobile banking services that you need. They also know that sometimes you need to speak to real people with real answers. That's why Renaissance has more than 170, and counting, by the way, convenient locations throughout the South ready to serve you. For more information, go to renaissancebank.com. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. I want to welcome two fascinating guests. They're both doing great work, totally different areas, but both doing great work. Kit Johnson with PrivOps, and yes, she is going to tell us what that is, and Keith Finger with Keith Finger Coaching and Consulting. But Kit, let's turn to you first. Kit Johnson with PrivOps. She's the CEO of PrivOps, and you're over in the Tech Alpharetta. Well, or you have been or were?
Yeah, we started off in Tech Alpharetta.
Yeah.
And then we got invited to be a part of the Accelerate group at ATDC down at Georgia Tech.
Oh, good for you. Okay, great. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I jumped ahead though. I want you to explain briefly. Tell us all about PrivOps. What do you do?
So it is, you know how companies have data sprawl. You have data lying everywhere, up in the cloud, trapped in legacy systems that are old, antiquated, hiding under the desk systems. We find a way to connect all of that data so you can use it to monetize it, to do new things with it you couldn't do before in real time, all automated. Like, for example, I met this really neat airman last week when I was at the AFWorks MDO Challenge up in Vegas. We were invited to be a part of that group. In fact, we were finalists in their MDO Challenge, which stands for Multi-Domain Operations.
Okay, now let's explain F.
I jumped ahead.
Yeah, no, that's good, but I know what that is because you told me ahead of time. Uh-huh. I cheated, but that's involved with the Air Force.
That's correct.
Yeah, explain that a little bit.
So the Air Force is doing a really unique thing, trying to work with small businesses, and it's been a really tough, challenging way to go through their program. So they're like, we want answers now. So they have developed these new kind of like incubators, and AFWorks, and it's WERX, is in Vegas, and they have one in Montgomery, which is MGM Works, one down, I believe it's in Tampa, Orlando, SoftWorks, and the whole goal is to connect the community with the Air Force and build things. So they put this whole challenge out for multi-domain operations, and we were finalists in that challenge, invited to be up in Vegas and have our booth up there, and it was amazing. Because people kept coming up to us going, we have this problem and we want to solve it.
Right.
Where in some places you go, nobody will come and talk to you at your booth.
Sure.
And this neat young airman came up and said, we have a challenge of, I have pilots and I need to send them off on missions or whatever. And I need to know if it's a go or a no-go. And we have challenge of connecting all the data. Like we have old legacies, antiquated systems that people have to manually log into. And it's old, so only certain people know how to do it. If they're out sick that day, what do I do? So I need to know, is the plane ready to fly? Is it up to date on its maintenance? Is the pilot up to date on his health check? Is he up to date on all his security checks, on all his training? Can I send this pilot out and safely know that it's going to work to the best of its ability? And I need to know right away. So we give the ability to connect all that data. So we pull the data from wherever it resides, populate a metadata catalog. So anybody can subscribe to that catalog from the whole gamut of the organization, but you can set the tone of who can subscribe to what data. So the higher ups can have everything they need, and folks down below only need certain data. They don't need all the personal data. And that just gives security checks, and that's part of where the PrivOps, privacy operations, comes from.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so first of all, you've got a situation here where you've got data, whether it's cloud or whether it's resides on a system somewhere, that really don't mesh in some way. You bring all that together.
Correct.
But there's a privacy aspect to what you're doing as well.
Absolutely.
Which is pretty cool.
So one of our use cases is for GDPR, which is the General Data Protection Regulation. And American companies are still coming to grips on how it affects them. how we solve that is when you're pulling all that data into the catalog, and you can set policies on what data certain people can touch because there is a personal identifiable information. And there's third-party processors. You send your data out to be dealt with or wherever it is. So you can filter out in real time the information that, say, customer goes online saying, I agree to this third-party processor having my information, but I don't like them. I don't want them to have it. So that's at a field level done. So they click a box on the website, automatically it happens. You don't have to have someone, going in and manually fixing something. Or the right to be forgotten from the data privacy laws. Once the data is all connected, a person goes on and said, I have the right to be forgotten. You sent the policies of what data needs to be deleted, what data needs to be kept to complete the transaction or whatever is going on. And it's done on an automated fashion, all time series stamped, so you can show the audit trail of what happened when and who did what when.
Wow. That's awesome. So it's easy to believe in an organization like the United States Air Force, which I guess started sometime 30 minutes after the Wright brothers.
Right?
But yeah, but it's easy to believe an organization that old has a lot of legacy systems that did not talk to each other or don't talk to each other.
Absolutely.
It's maybe a stretch maybe for folks to believe that that's true for more current businesses.
Oh, absolutely.
But it doesn't take long for a business to get data that's separated in some way, or they have legacy systems, right?
Well, a lot of companies are doing mergers and acquisitions. In fact, we're talking to a company right now that's how they have grown so rapidly is they're taking on other companies that are the same like them under one umbrella. So imagine having 5 CRMs that don't communicate. So how do you get the best use of your people and your data you have to make the most money? Well, you need to combine it. You need to pull that data together to make it worth something. That's what we can help them with.
We're speaking with Kit Johnson, and she's the CEO of PrivOps. So talk about where your company is. You mentioned you're in ATDC.
That's correct.
And so talk about your development. You and your husband together run the company, right?
Yeah.
So and my take on it is you're the person that translates for him. He's
so true.
He is the hardcore tech guy. And I know Tyler, he's a great guy. He's the hardcore tech guy.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
We were laughing earlier that he and other tech folks can talk in English words, but you string them together and I have no idea what they're saying.
Right.
So I'll say, try again. I still don't get it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But talk about where you are in your development, in the development of your business.
Absolutely. So Tyler and I have been married 22 years. We have 2 sets of twins. So we thought, hey, if we can do this, why don't we start a business together?
Wow.
Yeah. And it actually works for us really well. When we were trying to do it separately, when he was first writing code and going off to Tech Alpharetta and heads down buried, we weren't communicating and it put a stress on the relationship. But then when we realized the core of the code is written, let's get this on the ground, we started doing it together and it made so much more sense. Success started happening. We got into ATDC down at Georgia Tech and grown the company. But as anybody who's been in a startup, you realize it is such a path of discovery and talking to the right people and learning what path to take. And so we've kind of gone through a transition where we were going for GDPR earlier, but like American companies aren't ready for that solution yet. So we had to kind of pivot to doing some other things and finding other avenues. And it's all the same tech. So once we've done one project with you, majority of the work is done for the next project. So we're working with a customer right now on connecting his old legacy systems, and he wants to move to the cloud of his choice. His BI tool is not functioning, and his technologists don't say they have a data lake. They have a data swamp that's leaking, and and nothing is communicating. So we're working on getting those different systems to talk to each other so they can pull the data and they can manage the flow of data from the sales department, marketing department, flowing that flow of data through the company to who it resides with when. And then they want to be able to have repeat customers. So if we can pull the data from this system and that system and find out, are we getting repeat customers? What works to get repeat customers? That will grow their business even bigger.
That's cool. Now, let's make sure we get this out there. The type of clients that are really good fits for you. I mean, because this is a big problem out there. Lots
absolutely.
of folks have this problem. So, but which of those folks out there are the best fit for your business, you think? And
that's the unique thing is anybody who has data in systems that they want them to link together and they can't. And it's going to be, and this is all an open source platform where you're going to own your data. So this is based on Cassandra and Node.js, and then 10% is what we wrote. And the thing that makes me excited, and Tyler and I are really passionate about this, is we want companies to own their own data. That we're going to give you the source code. You're going to license us just for upkeep to run it or new stuff. You're not going to be beholden to a company that's going to change the price on you every year. And you're like, oh my God, I'm stuck. This is your data. You go make the money with it. We want to help you do that. That's what we're passionate about.
Wow, that's exciting. So how small of a company would have this problem? I mean, because the typical small business is not going to have this problem, I wouldn't think, or not have it to a huge degree, such that they would need to engage you or what have you. But what size companies do you think would be candidates for your services?
Again, that's a challenge. It's just whatever companies have data they're pulling in from different places. Like, trying to give you a good example, and my brain just went blank. That's always fun.
Well, you gave me one,
yeah.
Which is, and maybe the answer is the question's not size; it's circumstances.
And I think that's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
That's why size always gets me, because I can see the application in so many places because so many people want to make it work. Like some companies are based in the cloud and they kind of already have it figured out, but companies who are pulling it together with different systems and they're realizing as they're growing, or they have other corporations that they're already working with and they're frustrated because the bill keeps going up and they don't have a way of controlling that bill and it's really defeating their ability to grow, we could help them.
Sure.
And as they're working internationally and data privacy laws are coming out, even within our country, data privacy laws are coming out. And they're seeing, I want to get on board now and get this Pipeworks installed. So as I grow, I can adapt quickly to whatever privacy laws are initiated in the country. And if we go globally.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. And you also talked about companies that have done a lot of mergers, acquisitions,
absolutely.
And that kind of thing. And I've got actually a thought for you there. So after we get off the air, I'll mention something to you about that. So you mentioned the challenges of marriage. Mm-hmm. What are the challenges of being a mom and being working in a startup and being a CEO of a startup?
That pulls at your heartstrings, let me tell you. I was gone for many days last week and doing something else, and I sat up late last night talking to one of my teenagers as she released her teenage angst that was going on, and I needed to go to bed, but I needed to stay up and be with her.
Sure. And
go through that. And I'm walking out the door today and she stops me, Mom, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
But the where I turn it around to a positive is I'm teaching them life skills also, and they're all on board. They believe in what mom and dad are doing. We've hired, my daughter, who's just graduated senior, going to Georgia State, and she's our intern this summer. She's built my MailChimp list, and she's doing some other website updates for us because that's what she loves to do. Where her twin brother, he likes to cook. So
that's handy.
So he's been like, he'll cook meals, not great on the vegetables, but good proteins. And they've all learned to wash their own laundry, and my standards for how clean the kitchen has gone really low.
Yes.
Like today, I had to walk out the door with my eyes closed going, please, honey, can you work on it while mommy's gone? So it's a balance, but you just have to take a deep breath and try not to let the guilt of not being there turn it around to look at it from a different angle.
Well, and sometimes we forget that our kids are learning. Mm-hmm. When they see what you're doing, not necessarily work ethic, but some of the things that go into starting a company and building a company, right?
Yeah, they see the passion and the drive and what we're doing. And we tell them we tell them what's going on. We tell them, where we are financially, why we're making the decisions we're doing financially, and what we can and can't do. So we don't have every brand new whiz bang. We make thoughtful, and it's been awesome to see them adapt to that in their own spending habits.
Outstanding. We're speaking with Kit Johnson. She's the CEO of PrivOps. So, Kit, for those that would like more information, would like to be in touch with you and learn more about what you're up to, how do they do that? You
can just email me directly, and it's Kit, K-I-T, at PrivOps, PRIVOPS.com. You can go to our website, which is also www.privops.com, and link there. I'm on LinkedIn, and those of you who know me, I love doing my little selfies. If you find me somewhere and want to do a selfie, let's do it, and I'll post us on LinkedIn.
That sounds like a plan. Kit Johnson with PrivOps, thanks for being with us.
Oh, thanks, Ray. Thanks, Radio X. This has been awesome.
I'm glad to have you here. So, folks, if you need help in other ways, like with administrative tasks or bookkeeping or marketing, presentations, well, go engage a smart and reliable office angel. They're not a temp agency or placement firm. Office Angels matches your business support needs with angels who have the talent and experience necessary to help you maintain and grow your business on an ongoing or as-needed basis. Your terms, your timeline. They lend a hand when needed and fly off when the job is finished. Find out more at officeangels.us or call Chief Executive Angel S.E. Escobedo at 770-442-9246. We turn now to an old friend, Keith Finger, and Keith is the namesake of his own business, Keith Finger Coaching and Consulting. Keith.
Hello, John.
Hello, you. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, you and I were just having lunch a few weeks ago.
Yes, we were, catching up after a while.
And you are up to some cool stuff. Tell everybody about it.
Well, I help people who are trying to make a career change. Sometimes they're in their 20s and they're just trying to get their groove to begin with. Other times they're in their 50s and they realize they've never really done what they want to do, or they have a new life circumstance that's allowing them to follow up or find something that would be more fulfilling.
Yeah, and I was just talking with my son about this yesterday. So about how who is about to enter college.
Sure.
And how many times he's probably going to change jobs, careers,
that's true,
directions, companies, whatever you want to call it, during his career. And so you're providing an awfully needed service at the right time, I would think.
Yes, it's a very difficult thing for most people to do their own career change or to do a career change, period. And to have someone that you can work with to sort of bounce ideas off of or to direct you is a great benefit. So
changing careers is difficult. I would imagine one of the reasons for that, there's a lot of obvious reasons for that, but one of the most obvious reasons for me would be sometimes you as the consultant, the third party, the objective party, see things that individual does not see that you can be helpful to them with, right?
Well, that's true. In a typical career change, people are getting a lot of information from different places. They might have taken a lot of tests. They're getting relatives and friends, and everybody's giving them input, and it's very difficult for them to sort through all of that. I don't do any testing. I rarely do any testing. I'm relying on things the person has already done, things that are important to them, and we iterate our way forward based on really what's they find energetically, things that move them forward themselves, what gives them energy, what engages them, what gives them flow. And then we create some options from that, and then they test those out in conversations and in different what I call prototype experiences.
So, and I was going to get to that about your approach and how that differs maybe from others that do what you do. It sounds like you don't test. You're engaged in some pretty intensive dialogue.
Yes, there's intensive dialogue and self-reflection, and there could be some testing if somebody is really unsure of where they are at all. But generally, people have done enough things in life, either personally or professionally, that they can draw on some events they've had, some experiences, and understand what gives them energy and what engages them and what doesn't.
So if I want to make a career change, I'm unhappy with where I am, or I've been out sometimes it's involuntary. I've been downsized by corporate America, which is pretty common occurrence these days for folks. So how long does that change take?
It can take longer or as long as a regular job search, maybe even a little bit longer. You really, I think one reason people get stuck with it, because they're thinking that they can go online and find something, go, oh, this would be great for me. I've never done this before, but I can do it. And it's just, but they actually get stuck at that point. So what, I tell people you're really looking at probably at least 6 months from start to doing something, because not only do you need to learn about yourself and we need to go through the process and come up with some options, you also need to test those and figure out if they're really what you think they are. And not only by having conversations with people, because everybody will say they love it or they hate it, and you need to figure out for yourself, but you really need to go and do some, have some experiences that give you on the ground feeling of what it's like. So, shadowing, projects, anything that you can do, part-time work in that new field, that really gives you a sense of what it's like beyond what someone's opinion might be who's in it currently, which is also part of the process, though, and is very important.
We're speaking with Keith Finger, and he's the CEO of Keith Finger Coaching and Consulting. Now, Keith, you and I were having a conversation over lunch, and you were talking about burning the boats.
Yeah.
Buddy, you burn the boats, and you've got, you really, I think, eat your own cooking when it comes to talking about this, right? Because you had previous marketing career.
Sort of still there.
Yeah. But you're following a passion that you've developed.
For sure.
And that's different than the legacy career that you had.
That's true. And I went through this process myself and realized through my own career change, and we talk about burning the boat, is to not, I really didn't want to stay with what I was doing. That wasn't going to be the future. I knew that played a little part as I weaned myself off of that, and I still enjoy that.
Sure.
But I realized as I was doing my own career change that it was really difficult, and the process just was not working. This process of planning and implementing. You're good at all these things, and now find something that you can do that uses them. And it really I found it difficult to sort of make the next move. And instead, by iterating my way forward, I got a taste of what was possible and some ideas that I had, and that made it much more easy to actually choose then to become a coach and to help people with their own career search.
Right.
Yeah, we all have strengths, but not all those strengths give us joy. And there's actually something called a success disaster.
Is that a contradiction in terms I just heard?
It sounds like a success disaster is someone who is great at their job, but they don't like it. Because in life, we're told, do something that you're good at and success will follow. I would say that success is different than fulfillment. And that you might be great at something, but does it really light you up and fulfill you? And in our society, we really don't focus much on fulfillment. We focus on material wealth. We focus on supporting our families, which is, of course, important. But there comes a time, usually in most people's career, where they're looking for fulfillment. If you can do that from the beginning, you'll feel much better about yourself as you progress through your career than having a career that you thought was the right thing to do because of opinions that you got or family pressures or what everybody was doing at the time.
Yeah, that's a great point, because what you're talking about are folks that have kind of the golden handcuffs on them, either figuratively or literally.
Yes.
In corporate America, let's say, and the employer is not really necessarily, although this is not true about all companies, of course, but some big companies are not really concerned about their employees' fulfillment as much as they are getting next quarter's earnings.
Right. Productivity.
Yeah. Productivity. There you go. And so, folks feel trapped.
Yes. Folks feel trapped. And it's usually folks that are older that also have, obligations, kids in college, other things going on in life. Somebody who is in their 50s who wants to change careers, they don't necessarily have to take a pay cut because they have things they know that they can do that are transferable, but it's really easy for someone to look online and look at jobs and go, oh gosh, these are all looking for people who have done this before.
Right.
Well, yeah, you're not going to apply for a job in a career change through, Indeed.com. You're going to do it through networking. You do it through some of these iteration experiences that we put together. So if people can stop looking online when they think about a career search and go, what else could I do? They would actually it would be a much easier experience for them because their inner critic wouldn't be saying this will never work out.
So let's talk a little. You mentioned working with folks in their 50s. That's got to be a lot different, obviously, than working with folks that are in their 20s.
Yes.
Walk through that, if you would.
Well, someone in their 50s has a wealth of experience, actually. They have a lot to pull from, many, many years of different types of little experiences that gave them engagement and gave them energy and gave them flow. Flow is engagement on steroids. They have a lot to pull from to be able to think about what they'd like to do next. The thing that's holding them back usually is the sunk cost fallacy, thinking that they've spent so much time in this career that they'd be throwing it away, when actually it's not that difficult, as I'd mentioned.
Sure.
Conversely, the 20-year-olds have less holding them back, but less experience. So it takes a little bit more to find out from them what it really is it that will light them up. What have they done? You might be looking at more things like school experiences or extracurriculars. Their job history, while shorter, might have some things there that they can pull from. So they each side has their pros and cons. Each age group has their own challenges, but I enjoy working with all ages.
So talk a little bit about what an engagement looks like. So someone hears this, they're interested in engaging with you. What happens?
Well, typically we start off with what I call a discovery session. It's about 90 minutes. And I'm just asking a lot of questions, like you said, a lot of those deep questions, and trying to understand where the person is now. What is it that they really want out of life? What is it that is sort of their dream? Do they have any passions? What are their peak experiences? What are the things that they've really enjoyed in the past? And that helps me understand, kind of provides sort of a baseline. And then going forward, there are different exercises that help draw out the way that they see life, the way that they see work and what working is about. And then we get into some of the things they've done in the past that might have given them, again, engagement and energy and flow, and also the things that did not, because you want to stay away from those. Make sure you stay away from those. And then we do some mind mapping and brainstorming, and we come up with different scenarios, different possibilities. And then they go out and, they choose one of those. There'll probably be 3 of them, and they, one at a time, go out and think about, who might be good people to speak with about this type of possibility, about this type of odyssey is another way I describe it to people. And also, how can they experience it? And then between those they're going to want to choose one or maybe tweak it a little bit to make it come to life.
So are your engagements one-on-one, or do you work in groups, or how does that work?
I work one-on-one.
Okay. Okay.
I do a monthly free workshop, in East Cobb. And I've had people come from Ackworth and Kennesaw, from all over to do that. So, that's on my website as well. But I do that for people who are just trying to understand a little bit more and just get a taste of what's offered.
And this is not so much true for somebody in their 20s, but I'm sensitive to that because I'm barely in my 50s. But
me too.
Yeah, but you're asking some questions for folks that age that they really haven't thought about for a long time, if ever.
That's true. In fact, there have been guys, men in particular, their identity is very much wrapped up in their careers.
Yeah.
And there have been guys who have said, I was told by, my father that my job is to support my family and batten down any feelings of fulfillment. And they get to a point in life where they're actually holding that in, and they're tired of just being very mechanical about their career. I mean, you work at your job 8, 10 hours, 12 hours a day. Why should you not be happy about what you do?
Yeah.
Why should you not enjoy it?
That awesome stuff from Keith Finger. Keith is with Keith Finger Coaching and Consulting. So, Keith, we could talk for a while about this. This is great stuff. You're doing great work for folks. Tell them how to be in touch.
My website is keithfinger.com, Keith, F like Frank, INGER.com. And I am Keith at keithfinger.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn. So would love to connect. And I post, I have a Facebook page if you're looking to attend that monthly workshop too.
Outstanding. Keith, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, John. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Folks, just a reminder, you can listen to this show every Tuesday, and we have special episodes here and again. And if you miss any of the live shows that we do, you can find them on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify. Yes, just about any major podcast app. We're on it. Or you can go online at northfultonbusinessradio.com. If you're on your podcast app, search for North Fulton Business Radio and you'll find us. Also, check us out on Twitter or on Facebook. We're at North Fulton BRX. And LinkedIn too, by the way, since everybody's mentioning LinkedIn. I got two LinkedIn gurus here with me, so I see them both on LinkedIn, so they know what they're doing. So I better mention that as well. So for our guests, Kit Johnson and Keith Finger, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.
Renaissance Rewards Extra is the checking account that checks all the boxes. Roadside assistance? Check. Cell phone insurance? Check. More than 400,000 local shopping discounts? Check. Up to $25 per month in ATM refunds and a great rate? Check. All in an easy-to-use mobile app. To open an account or find out more about Renaissance Rewards Extra Checking, go to renaissancebank.com or visit us at any of our more than 190 locations throughout the South. Renaissance Bank. Understanding you. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.